G'day, my name's Dave Doyle. Thanks for having me, and I'm going to showcase some of the native plants that I use in cooking from the banks of the Baaka around Menindee. I collected these from Crick Park. If you're familiar with Menindee, you'll know where that is. So here we are looking at the Warrigal greens. There's so much of it around at the moment. It didn't take me long at all to pick a huge bunch of this. I bring it home. I'm making pesto with it today, as it said before, and we'll cook with some of that here. While I was collecting it, found some ruby saltbush, which is prolific around our region. There's about 4 different colours of it. This is the red one, where the name ruby saltbush comes from. In a sec, you're going to see some of the yellow version of it as well. We get some really nice pinky magenta coloured ones and orange as well. They all taste the same. They've got a beautiful sweet salty flavour to them. They're nice and plump at the moment. They're real thirst quenching. They're bloody beautiful. While I was picking the Warrigal greens or New Zealand spinach, I noticed there were some mushrooms around, so I picked a bunch of those as well. And from what I collected just with these two, I'm going to do some Warrigal green pesto stuffed mushrooms. If you're not familiar with mushrooms, be wary of what you pick. Probably suggest you don't pick them unless you know what you're getting. These ones are non-edible, so they've got the white gills underneath. We stay well away from those ones. And here's another one that we stay away from. As I said, it's got the white gills, and you'll see the comparison. We want those ones with the browny red colour underneath. But like I said, if you are not confident in selecting mushrooms, just stay away from them. They're the same as what you can buy at the store anyway. It's just there was plenty of them around, so I picked them. As you can see, there's a good bunch of them there. Here I am washing the spinach just to get the dirt off, taking out some of the unwanted plant material, and only keeping the leaves that are the young leaves, which are nice. You can keep the older ones as well. They get a bit more of a bitter aftertaste. With Warrigal greens and any of the spinaches, actually, you've got to blanch them for about 30 seconds, and what that does is breaks down a compound inside, which is an oxalate, and it can cause kidney stones in some people, not everybody. You can eat these leaves raw, straight out of the bush, but if you're prone to kidney stones, and just to be safe, I always blanch them if I'm going to use it, and I've never used these in a salad or anything. I've always just cooked with them. So after blanching, into the sink with water and ice, that helps it maintain that nice vibrant green colour that I like, and it's noticeable in pesto. The other main ingredient is pine nuts, and I'm going to have the recipe available for this later on. This is just me toasting them in a little pan, getting some colour onto them, getting the flavour and the oil starting to come out in it, which all adds to the pesto in the end. I have used macadamia nuts to keep it more of an Australian theme, and while it was nice, I actually prefer the pine nuts. I like the flavour of them. So it starts to get a little bit long here, but this is me just tossing pretty much all the ingredients into the food processor and blending it. So in that is just the New Zealand spinach at the moment. Got 3 or 4 cloves of garlic, some salt and pepper. On the other side, there's some Parmesan cheese and the pine nuts. Now, this is a pretty big batch, so the amount that I in the recipe will be a lot smaller than what I'm putting in the food processor here, but it keeps for 2 or 3 months in the fridge. You just have to put it into a jar with a layer of olive oil over the top, which stops it from oxidizing. So my camera skills aren't the greatest, sorry, but bear with me, I'm learning all this stuff. And like I said, it all just goes into the blender. It's pretty simple. This is probably one of the easiest things to cook that tastes fantastic and is really versatile. You can use this on a pizza, in some of those pinwheel things, as a dip. There's anything that you wouldn't normally use pesto for, you can use this in place because it's exactly the same. In the past, I've made some with exactly the same, but with lemon as well, and it gives it a completely different flavour. But it's really nice with fish. This one's probably a bit better for what we're looking at, which was the mushrooms, and I'm going to do some chicken pesto fettuccine after I've made the pesto. Now, after this blends, you'll see a shot of it in a sec where it's all chopped together. We added in the olive oil, and you really kind of have to keep your eye on it here and get it to the consistency you want. It's a little bit crumbly here, and to be honest, I think I added a little bit too much olive oil when I made this batch, but it doesn't matter whatsoever. It doesn't matter if it's a bit more wet, because I'm throwing it in with pasta and chicken anyway. So here we are, while it's blending still, just chuck the olive oil in, and then afterwards to season it with a little bit of salt and pepper just to get the flavour that I want. And then that has to be put in jars and go into the fridge for at least 24 hours just to let the flavours infuse with each other. So definitely something you do the day before. And it's a whole lot different to what you would buy at the store. It's so much fresher, so much. I guess the word all I can think of is vibrancy. It's so good. We'll never go back to the store bought stuff again. So that's gone into the fridge, and this is the next day, me preparing some onion and garlic. I like to chop them up rather than put the garlic through the press because I don't like to waste any of it, and we're huge fans of garlic in the house. I've got some mad knife skills happening here. So, like I say, the pesto's is in the fridge. It's been in there for about 24 hours now. I've got the oven in the background on because we're cooking some garlic bread in there, which will go with the pasta. And in a sec, you'll see me get the mushrooms out of that container with the blue lid in the front of the clip. So I use the mushrooms both in the pasta and any of the ones with the nice round cups. I'll keep those for stuffing, and you'll see that in a sec when I do it. It's pretty straightforward. It's, so two ways to use the same pesto, and it's, they're bloody beautiful both ways. So here's me slicing some of the mushrooms. They've lost a little bit of that nice browny red colour. That's only because they've been in the fridge and they're not connected to the ground anymore. They still taste just as good, and they lasted for at least a week in the fridge until I finished eating them. Just taking the stems out of the mushroom cups. On the left side of the screen, you'll see the little wine glass. That's got some of the Kwandong mead that I make. I keep these as well. So the mead I make, and then with the Kwandong flavours in it, that's why it's got that nice colour. And since this was about showcasing native foods, and because it tastes good, I thought it would be great to have some of that on screen. So in the bottom of the mushrooms, there's the pesto, then some bocconcini, and just the little bits you see me sprinkle on is just a little bit of parmesan for a bit of extra flavour. Alright, just waiting now, and then we'll go to the next clip. Some boiling water for the pasta, pretty exciting stuff. Water boiling, bit of salt, some olive oil again, and in this one I used the fresh store-bought fettuccine, which you can get out of the refrigerator section. It's much better than the dried one. Not quite as good as homemade, but we don't have to make everything ourselves. This is about making something from the bush that's nice and easy. So I cooked this as to packet instructions, which I can't remember how many minutes was in the water, but if you decide to do it, it'll be written on the back of the packet. Into the hot pan with some more olive oil, and then I'm going to chuck in the onion and garlic to cook down until it goes translucent. Just trying to wilted. I don't want to brown it at all. So after that's sweated down a bit, I put in the diced chicken breast and cook that until it's cooked right through. So that's pretty much the chicken part of it. Over in the pot, I've already drained the pasta, putting in some olive oil just so it helps so it doesn't clump together. And then I'll also in a little bit add some pesto into the pasta. So while I finish off the chicken here, I have forgot to add the mushroom. That does go in at the end. It wasn't intentional. It should probably have been added in here, but it didn't make a difference in the end. It still tasted great. So just throwing in some of the pesto into the pasta. Mix it through so all the pasta's coated, and then we'll complete the chicken part of it. Then I remembered I haven't put the mushrooms in the oven, so they go in so that we can get them all out roughly the same time. As you can see, the garlic bread at the bottom. So the oven's at about 180 degrees. Into the chicken goes the pesto, as much or as little as you want. Mix it through. Realise that you haven't added the mushrooms. So you're off screen getting those now. Add that in, and it, like I said, wasn't an issue in the end because the mushroom flavour was there. They'd cooked down nice. They were cooked. They weren't raw. I had the pasta in, which probably helped those mushrooms complete cooking. Mix it all through, and that's pretty much it done. So it's pretty easy. Recipe easy to cook, easy to collect those ingredients off the banks of the Baaka. Oh, I do add a little bit of cream actually in a sec, just to make it a bit more saucy and to bring all of those flavours together. So it's all mixed through. We're going to plate up in a sec. Just tasting it there for to see if it's seasoned. So here we are, just plating it up. Watched a bit of YouTube about this. You got to put it on, give it the pasta a little bit of a twist like that. Makes it mound up nice. Looks better on the plate. And then of course I add chicken to the top of it and rolls down. And it's not much of a mountain anyway, but doesn't make a difference to how it tastes. On top of that, a little bit more parmesan because I'm a bit of a cheese fan. And that's it. That's a chicken pesto fettuccine served with the garlic bread, and of course on the side the Kwandong mead. And then out of the oven we're going to grab those mushrooms because the cheese is melted now and they've just started to brown. These were great actually. The fresh flavours of the pesto and the mushroom just go so well together. And something else I saw on YouTube, sorry, not Facebook. You got to do a cross section, and I hope you can see this all right. So here we are, cutting it open. I'll spread them apart and just have a look at that. It's bloody beautiful. So that's it. Thanks for watching this, and in a sec we'll have some time for questions. Cheers. Talk to you in a moment.